So here's Mark Carney. So he wants Canadians to know what a good job he's doing, how much he's getting done. Mark Carney posted this September 24th. Canada's newest trade agreement is a game changer. With this deal, 95% of our exports to Indonesia will be more competitive in their economy. The president and Canada are unlocking huge economic opportunities for our workers and greater prosperity for both our nations. Well, it seems like he's actually doing something. He's actually getting something done, isn't he? Hold on, though. Hold on. Canada-Indonesia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Well, let's see. Canada's Prime Minister announced substantive conclusion of Canada-Indonesia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement negotiations in when? November 2024. Well, he wasn't even Prime Minister then, with Canada's Minister of International Trade and Economic Development signing a joint statement with her Indonesian counterpart on December 2nd, 2024, marking conclusion of negotiations. Well, again, December 2nd, 2024, Mark Carney wasn't even Prime Minister. For some reason, he doesn't mention that this had nothing to do with him. See, unfortunately for low information Canadian voters, liberal voters, or just low information Canadians, gullible Canadians, this looks like he's doing stuff. Like he's getting stuff done. Like shake the Indonesian president's hand. So I guess, does that count as doing stuff? There he shook all their hands right there. So I guess he did that. Look, he's shaking hands. He's getting things done. This is the state of Canada. All right. Pierre Poilievre says this. There is no polite way to say this. Carney is caught in another bait and switch, taking tariffs off he said were on. This must be that divisive tone from Poilievre that the CBC teleprompters keep telling us about, because no leader of the opposition ever had a divisive tone before. Pierre Poilievre, amazing. Why the lie? To look like a tough guy while secretly caving again. His whole, what, if you can call it a strategy, what he's doing with the states, with the Trump administration, it's just chaotic and dysfunctional. It doesn't make any sense. Let's take a look.
Well, after saying last month it would remove all counter tariffs on U.S. goods covered under CUSMA, new reporting from the CBC has found out that the Liberal government quietly dropped more of those tariffs than advertised. The CBC's Kate McKenna broke the story, and she joins me now. So, Kate, walk us through what you found out here.
Well, David, we all remember last month when Mark Carney announced that the government was going to be dropping some retaliatory tariffs in order to kind of push ahead with trade negotiations with the United States. So at the time, the Prime Minister said that he was essentially going to be matching what the United States was doing to us, which is to say counter tariffs were going to be dropped on CUSMA-compliant goods.
Right.
So goods that were compliant with the existing free trade agreement. Implying that if a good wasn't compliant with CUSMA, then it would be tariffed. Take a listen to what he said at the time.
The Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
Now, almost a month later, we've learned that's actually not what happened. Canada has removed all counter tariffs, regardless of whether a good was CUSMA compliant, except for, of course, the sectoral tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto. And they never actually communicated that to the public. We found it by reading an order in council, which was never publicized and required me to ask a number of questions from the government. So this was not something that they ever told the public.
It's been the worst of all worlds so far. So it was this kind of weak, kind of half measure trade war. The whole idea that we were going to win some sort of trade war with the United States with an economy 13 times greater than ours in the first place was always idiotic and insane and just purely political, right? It was just done purely for politics. So it was a bad idea from the start. We shouldn't have done any of that, especially not putting tariffs on stuff that was already CUSMA or USMCA compliant. That was really dumb because States wasn't actually doing that. If you remember, with the car tariffs, it wasn't on the entire car. It was on non-USMCA compliant parts in cars that shouldn't have been in the cars, right? It was an effective tariff rate of like 3%, 3, 4, maybe 5%, depending on the car. Right. But the whole point was, okay, those parts aren't compliant. They're not part of our agreement. So it's been this bizarre half measures, chaotic, dysfunctional strategy. Uh, Meanwhile, Carney is not going down to the states to deal with Trump. The administration is not dealing with Trump. The American administration is complaining about that. They don't seem serious. It's like they don't want to deal. None of this makes sense. It seems to be totally amateurish. I don't know how else to explain it, how else to describe it. It's just amateur hour. It's chaotic and dysfunctional, which, well, Carney is a radical progressive, so that makes sense, I guess. I guess that's what you would expect. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.